Welcome new subscribers and welcome back old subscribers. So today I'll be showing you how I made my very first wig, and I was super scared but also excited because I'd never done this before, so all of this was trial and error because I did not know what I was doing, but we're gonna go for it. So I'm using 3 bundles of 12-inch Brazilian body wave by Beauty Forever, and I'm also using a 12-inch closure. I'll leave the link to the full review I did of the hair down below because I already made a video of the hair, but here I'm just showing you the texture and also the parting space on the closure. I thought the parting was very realistic on the closure, but I did decide to bleach the knots just so it could match with my skin tone better. To bleach these knots, I used some Clairol Kaleidoscope bleach powder, 40 volume developer, a small mixing bowl, and an applicator brush. So I just eyeballed these portions and I mixed the powder with the developer until it was like a thick, creamy consistency. You want it to be thick enough that it doesn't seep through the lace, but also creamy enough that it spreads pretty easily. Now, I'm a perfectionist, but I do advise you to take your time because you just want to put this on the surface of the lace. You do not want to push it through. So you do not want to be applying any force, because if you push it through, you will bleach the roots of the hair, and you do not want that unless that's the look that you're going for. So you want to take your time, make sure you cover all the edges, and really make sure you're not pushing it through. Afterwards, after I covered the lace, I put it in a bag and I just let it develop for about 30 minutes, and then afterwards I used my Cocoa Curls shampoo and conditioner to wash the bleach out of the hair, and this is what it looks like. On the left was before, on the right is after, and you can see there's clearly a difference. Also, you can see that at the front of the hair I do have some blonde roots, but I ended up going back to pluck those hairs out later, so it didn't matter. I also went back and plucked the middle part of the closure. The parting, like I said previously, was pretty realistic already, but I did want to just go back and customize it a bit more. Here I'm just pulling out those blonde roots, and I was just focusing on getting those roots out, not making this hairline realistic because I did not plan on wearing this hair pulled back. Also, I did all the plucking of this hair while the hair was wet because it was easier for me to comb out the pulled hairs while the hair was wet. Then I just placed this heavy book on the closure so it could dry flat. Lord, let's talk about coloring this hair. So I was going for a red color like you see on this box, and I ended up having to dye the hair 3 times to get a color of what I was looking for. I'm not going to blame it on the hair, I just have no dyeing experience, so this was really an experiment for me. So I used aluminum foil to develop all the colors each time I dyed the hair, wrapped it and let it sit, and with the Silk Elements color I ended up getting this color you see here, which was more of like a brownish color. So I decided to go back and re-dye it in hopes of getting a more red. Next, I decided to mix Raging Red and Rich Amber by Adore in hopes of getting a red color, which gave me this color, which was more of what I was going for, but as you can see, my closure and my bundles ended up being 2 different colors, so I had to dye it again. Finally, I used the Chroma True Reds, which I should have started with, in the color Flame, and I ended up getting this color, which I was definitely pleased with. It was a nice, pretty red, bright enough that you could see it, but not too obnoxious for me. Now let's get into this wig. I used a wig stand, a mesh dome cap, some T-pins, a weaving needle, and some weaving thread. You'll also need a wig head, of course, and I started by putting my dome cap on my wig head, making sure I used those 2 lines to make sure that it was centered. Then I took my lace closure and I aligned it with those lines, centering it, and I made sure that the hairline of my lace closure was slightly in front of that thick black band on the dome cap. Then I used the T-pins to secure the lace closure to the dome cap. Now you want to make sure that the lace closure is very taut. So when you're securing the T-pins, you want to take all the tension out of the lace closure to make sure that it is laying as flat as possible. And this is going to be your foundation for sewing your lace closure down. So you want to make sure there's no lumps, no bumps, no humps, nothing, because you want this to be laying as flat as possible. It took me a few tries, but I wanted to make sure that mine was as good as I can get it. So you can't really see, but I'm pulling that edge, that back corner, pretty tautly to take up any slack, and then I'm pinning it down. So I want to apologize now because while I was recording this video, of course, My camera kept malfunctioning, my batteries kept dying, it was a mess. So I don't even have any clips of me actually sewing my lace closure down or a lot of other important things from this video, so I'll do my best to explain and show afterwards, but I just want to apologize for that now, because in the next clip you're going to see it sewn down and you're not actually going to see me do any sewing, so I'm sorry about that. Once the closure was secured, I sewed down the left side, then the right side, then the back, and this ensures that you won't have any lumps and that your closure will be sewn down as flat as possible. Decided to use the hot glue gun method to make my wig, but next time I'll definitely be sewing my wig down, because in one video I saw that they recommend you use a plastic bag over your wig head to stop the glue from sticking to the styrofoam of the wig head, but the glue ended up sticking to the plastic of the plastic bag. Until this day, I cannot get this plastic bag from underneath my wig. So I do not recommend putting plastic under like you see here, because your glue will stick to the plastic and it is just not good at the end of the day. But this step is pretty self-explanatory. I just put some glue down and I use the fold over method to lay the tracks. Kind of wish I would have spread them out a little bit more, but I did this until I got to the top and I left just a little bit of space around the closure, and then I cut the remaining hair and used that to blend the lace closure with the wefts. So here I'm just sewing on that last track to the perimeter of the lace closure. So you'll get to see me do a little bit of sewing. So I just put a knot at the end, and now I am just securing that closure, that weft to the closure, and this ensures for a seamless blend between the lace closure and the wefts. Next, I just cut off that extra lace from the closure, and that stuff that you see inside the wig is the plastic bag that I was talking about. Yes, it was really annoying and not worth it. So after I cut off the lace, I used my curling iron just on the closure, and I just used it to make sure that the closure was as flat as possible. I kind of pulled the hair taut, and then I applied the heat from the curling wand or the curling iron to just flatten out that closure a little bit more. Then I went through and I flat ironed the whole wig just because I wanted to see what it would look like straight, and I wanted to add some layers and just shape it up a bit. After that was done, I just wanted to try on the wig and see how it was fitting, so I just put my hair in a low bun, knowing that it wouldn't be flat, but I just wanted to see how it was looking before I proceeded to style it. And honestly, I was pretty impressed with myself. Yeah, I do still think it did look a little bit wiggish, and this is another reason why I won't use hot glue again, because it dries with these white clumps on the hairline, and if it blows back then it looks crazy. But back to trying on, I was pretty impressed with myself. I know this isn't the best wig ever, but for this being my first time, I was pretty happy with it. And here I'm just playing around with my hairline, trying to see if I can make it look as realistic as possible. Do I put it in front of my hairline? Do I put it behind it? Whatever, that's just the little details. But I don't know, you guys can tell me what you guys think. I think it came out pretty nice for my first attempt. So I ended up going back and adding this elastic band. I sewed it down from one side of the closure to the other side, just so I made sure that the wig was secured to my head and that the closure was even more flat than it already was. So then I went back, got my hair braided, of course, so that my wig would lay down flat, and I thought I was going to bobby pin my hair up like this, but I didn't. I ended up just leaving my braids down. Then I just secured that elastic band around my head and put the wig on, and this really kept my wig really snug and laying down super duper flat. And I ended up moving it over to a side part because I like that look a lot more. And here you can see the closure, and I was very pleased with it and how natural it looked. And you can also see the natural texture of the hair because I had gotten it wet. But that's it for the video, guys. I would love for you to leave any comments or suggestions in the comment box below, because I would love to try this again. And I'll leave all this info down in the description box. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!